Hey, there we go. YouTube, how you doing tonight? Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name, of course, is Seth, and we appreciate you guys being here. We are going to get into our show here pretty quick. We are a few moments behind, but not too bad. So Earl hopefully is going to sound a lot clearer tonight. Earl's got, yeah, Jacob. I don't think Jacob knows this, but Earl's got a new microphone.
No, I kind of gathered when he was trying to put the penis cover on it.
Yeah, so I went and sent Earl a microphone last week and you know, figured we'd get some good sounding audio for once.
He's still gonna mumble, and it's still gonna sound bad, but it won't be the mic's fault.
No, we're good. We're good. All right. Can we get some links and tweets and all that kind of stuff out? I can't wait to talk tonight. I cannot wait to talk tonight.
I know this was like the highest energy intro I've seen in like 6 months from you.
I don't know about that. I think we've had some good intros, but
Maybe not 6 months. Maybe since the tying losing thingy streak.
that could be it. But yeah, no, we've got a lot to talk about. Some good things to talk about. We got some bad things to talk about. Uh, just like Jacob's draft, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh god, dude. I oh god. Okay. So here's the thing. All right. I am in 2 fantasy football leagues. One of which costs $130 to get in,
Holy shit!
and the winner basically takes everything. Second and third place get their money back, and then the winner takes the rest. So obviously it's a very important league to me because it's expensive as hell.
Wow.
And then I'm in the $20 one with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, guess when the draft was for my $130 league one?
Oh no.
It was at 7:00 last night. So I had them both up. I was in both rooms and started going on the expensive one, and it was like bam, 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 bam. Like the first 2 rounds went like in 5 minutes, and I just completely forgot about the other one.
So is that your excuse for why you took Youngwei Koo in the 6th round?
Yeah, because it auto drafted for me.
I was like, what the hell did happen with Jacob's draft?
It auto drafted the whole thing.
Wow.
And honestly, I wasn't upset with like my starters,
yeah.
but my bench is atrocious. And I was like, oh shit. And the same thing kind of happened last year.
Yeah.
Except for I actually did the draft. But then like through the season in that league, I was too caught up in the big money league to focus on it as much as I needed to.
Okay.
And so I came in last in that league. And I've never finished in the bottom half of a league ever, I don't think. And so when I finished last year, I was pissed.
All right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I did a draft with a good friend Joshua Carrillo. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, actually, I logged in late because my son's soccer coach called me, and so I was talking to him. I was like, "Oh crap!" I'm trying to log in the draft to talk to the coach, and I apparently I ended up with a #1 overall pick in that draft. and yeah, auto drafted Christian McCaffrey. So good way to start your pick. #1, yeah, I would have taken it. I would have taken McCaffrey at #1 overall easily. I did a draft Sunday night too, and someone took Mahomes #1. I was like, okay, I'm gonna cry all the way to second pick and Christian McCaffrey.
So you have them both leagues?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. So in this big money league, I had McCaffrey last year.
Yeah.
I had the #1 pick, drafted McCaffrey, thought, yeah, this is going to be great. And then he gets hurt in week 2. And I fought my ass off, and I ended up losing by like 3 points in the playoffs. And had I won that one, I would have at least gotten to the third. Well, no, I would have gotten to the semifinals. So I'd have had a 3 and 4 chance of getting at least my money back.
Yeah.
And I lost.
Earl, you doing any fantasy football this year?
Nope.
No? All right. Not yet. Well,
Not yet.
season starts in less than 48 hours.
Yeah, I know. I should probably get on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you better get on that, man. But yeah, so yeah, Jacob and I are in a league together with like I said, Josh Carrillo. We've got $20 buy-in. I mean, I think my lineup turned out pretty well. I don't know if you went and looked through the rosters, but I can't complain about mine.
I didn't fully. I looked at mine and looked at waiver wire to see if I could pick anybody up, and then that was it.
Speaking of waiver wire, Le'Veon Bell signing with the Ravens today. Does that matter?
I mean, are we talking fantasy or are we just talking?
Either way.
I mean, they needed somebody. They needed a body because they had been decimated by injuries there with J.K. Dobbins going out for the year, and then Justin Hill. I don't remember what his name is.
Yeah.
His last name's Hill. He went down with an injury, so they needed somebody there. Gus Edwards will still probably get the most run, but
They literally needed someone with a running back title. Is what they needed.
basically,
Yeah. They needed someone to step in. We've already seen a number of injuries throughout the NFL. And yeah, regular season gets underway in less than 48 hours. Dallas Cowboys, Buccaneers, Thursday night. Yeah, can't wait, man. Cannot wait. But yeah, let's get into our show proper if you guys are ready for that.
And
Go ahead, Earl.
I can wait for the season because I don't want to get handed by Tampa Bay or Tampa Brady like week 1.
it's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be. I think Thursday's gonna be pretty ugly.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not looking forward to any of it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. You know, we've got the Eagles on Sunday, so you know, a lot of stuff going on. Oh, but yeah, let's get into our show. Let's get into this. We got a lot to talk about. So let's do this, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and sometimes sports discussion from the biggest stories in the world of sports. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me tonight, as always, we got Jacob Terrell, Earl Nieto. Guys, I'm super excited for this week. We're back on YouTube. We're back in the win column. We've got a lot to get to, but before we do, I have one burning question. Are you ready for some football?
Yes. Short answer.
Man, like I got all this energy, pumping out this energy. Yes.
You're usually the robot. I don't know what the fuck is going on. You're throwing me off here. No, of course I can wait. I mean, we just won the Super Bowl. We brought back all 22 starters from the Super Bowl. We've got a rookie defensive end that's tearing it up in preseason and in training camp so far. We start with an easy W on Thursday night. I can't wait. It's going to be a good season. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope my fantasy players do good because I spent a lot of money on fantasy this year, so I'm excited.
Earl, how about you? You ready?
I'm ready for week 2
Good answer, Earl.
because
Good
that's when
answer.
our season actually starts. Because this Thursday, Tom Brady's gonna have a practice day with a scrimmage game with the other team, and he's just gonna carve the Dallas defense up like he always does. So am I ready for football? Yeah. Week 2 though.
Is the Cowgirl defense that bad?
So some say no, but the fact that we have a rookie linebacker starting in Micah Parsons, we have a rookie slot cornerback in Kelvin Joseph. We have another subpar slot cornerback in Maurice Canady, and that's minus Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and what's the other dude's name?
Sean Lee?
DeMarcus Lawrence. Sean Lee's retired.
Is he? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so minus Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, and DeMarcus Lawrence, our defense is booty.
He said booty.
In our offense, we have Dak Prescott as the quarterback. Our offense, we have Dak Prescott as quarterback. We have Zeke Elliott at running back. And our wide receivers, I mean, we have Amari Cooper, who's okay. We have CD Lamb, who's okay. And we have Michael Gallup, who is, once again, okay. So our offense is that little brown cherry in the middle of your booty. That's where we're at.
I don't really know how to respond to that.
So
Yeah.
the Rusty Sheriff's badge, is that that's what you're referring to there?
Exactly.
All right.
And we move on.
Not quite. Yeah, we're gonna move on from that part of it. But so I know we've had our little, our lineup prediction game going on. I don't know where we're at or the points on that at that point. Hopefully Jacob can update us at some point.
I will get on that.
I do have a new game for us. Something that I think we can do. Something we can manage. We're gonna do a little NFL pick'em, and I sat down today and picked out a handful of matchups, key things that I think we could probably try to predict. And I've got 6 questions, 5 questions and a bonus. For each one we get right, you get 1 point. For the bonus question, you get it right, you're going to get an extra 2 points. So, week 1, fantasy pick'em. Question 1: what is the first penalty that gets called this season?
Oh,
Holding.
defensive or offensive?
It's gonna be a holding call.
Defensive or offensive?
Offensive.
Offensive holding.
Okay.
Well, they cut back on offensive holding a lot last year. And so I think they'll continue that because it led to a lot
So here's
better
the thing.
offense.
If Dallas has the ball first, there will definitely be at least 5. Where's my fucking screen? 5 offensive holdings within the first drive.
There, girl, get right up on that mic, dude. That sounded so good right there. Just get
Okay,
right
Earl.
up on it. Yeah.
Earl, in order for there to be 5 offensive holding penalties in the first drive, that means you have to get a first down.
Not necessarily.
And that's not going to happen.
Nope, not necessarily. You can get a holding on the first down, which means it's first down again.
Yeah, I know.
You get holding
But you're
on the
not.
play.
Okay. I don't think that's going to happen.
There will be 5 offensive holdings on Dallas the first drive, guaranteed.
I will say the first penalty is a false start.
False start. Okay. That's not a bad call. If I had said, if you tell me the situation, the scenario, who has the ball when it happens, I think the first one's gonna be a roughing the passer call because the Dallas O-line isn't gonna be able to stop the Tampa Bay defense.
Well, that's why they're gonna have false starts and holdings because the tackles are gonna try to get off the line quicker than they're supposed to try to stop our edge rushers, and then the interior offensive line is gonna be holding the interior defensive line to keep them from getting to Dak.
So
I really need you guys to play for Dak. I really need you to play for Dak this game.
Your interior line is going to do great because
Martin is out.
Dr. Sean Tracy or something like that diagnosed Zach Martin with COVID.
Ooh.
I don't know why you had to throw the doctor's name out there like that. Like that so doesn't matter to me. Okay, next question.
You see,
All right, question 2, week 1. Who finishes week 1 with more interceptions? Jameis or Dak?
Jameis. I give Jameis 3 INTs this week. 3 interceptions.
No, dude, Jameis got LASIK. He can actually see the difference in teams now. He's going to do fantastic. I got to go Dak.
All right, I have no faith in Jameis as a passer. So I'm going to go Jameis. No
You guys
faith
are-
at all.
Well, that's an easy point for me. That's nice.
All right, question 3. Which division allows the most points in week 1?
Ooh. See, these if I'm going to actually answer these, I have to do some research here. I can't just throw out a name. I got to see who's playing who and
NFC. I'm telling you now, NFC East.
NFC East. Okay. So, all right. All right. So you want to run through the matchups real quick. Dallas, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Minnesota, Cincy, San Francisco, Detroit, Arizona, Tennessee, Seattle, Indy, Chargers, and Washington football team, New York Jets at Carolina, Jacksonville at Houston, Cleveland at Kansas City, Miami at New England, Green Bay at New Orleans, Denver at New York, Chicago at Los Angeles Rams, and then the Baltimore Ravens at Las Vegas.
I'm gonna say the AFC North.
Yeah, NFC East.
All right, so AFC North, NFC East. I'm actually going to say the NFC South. And Tampa Bay is probably going to be the least points allowed among those teams there. So
it's not a bad pick, but I don't know about the Eagles offense, and I definitely don't know about the Jets offense. So the Saints could give up quite a few points to the Packers, but we're not going to give up any to the Cowboys. So
all right, question number 4. Which quarterback will have the best QBR after week 1? Rodgers, Mahomes, or Brady?
So for reference, Mahomes is playing a very good Browns team. Rodgers is playing the Saints, and then Brady, of course, is playing the Cowboys. I'm gonna go Brady. You guys, I really think this is like
Rodgers.
I think this is like a 42 to 14 game here. I think it's an absolute destruction.
I honestly have Rodgers as well. I think Rodgers is going to have a fantastic game against the Saints. I don't trust the Saints anymore.
Here's what this is lining up to be. I'm either going to kick your guys' ass, or I'm going to be so far behind both of you, it's going to be hard for me to catch up for the rest of the season.
Well, see, that's why I didn't want to just do like straight pick 'em, against who's going to win what matchup. Like, I think like these are like good things. I think these are in-depth things to look at, So, all right. Week 1. Will there be any
Rodgers revenge tour? So
yeah, Rodgers is gonna play piss this year. That's right. All right. Question 5. Week 1. Are there any special teams touchdowns? And if so, who?
You bastard.
The Patriots.
Patriots. Okay. I know this is a tough one. I was having a hard time on this one too. I'm thinking, who are the premier like return guys now, or do we see like a blocked kick or something? Because we saw a number of blocked field goals last year.
I'm gonna say no.
No. Okay.
That's probably the smart answer.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, I thought this was probably one of the tougher questions I came up with on the list here. But, I mean,
there's not someone that stands out in my mind to run something back or block something and take it back. I mean,
yeah,
there's not a Devin Hester or a Percy Harving or something like that. So, no.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my money's on the no. I don't think with all the changes that we've seen in the rules, the kickoff rules and all that kind of stuff, I don't think there is, and I don't think there's I don't think we see a defensive stand or something, turnover, and that type of special team situation. So, all right, final question, bonus round. This is gonna be worth 2 points. Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, Las Vegas. Total points scored Monday night. Less than 30, 30 to 45, or greater than 45?
Greater than 45.
Go ahead, Seth.
I'm having a hard time with both of these teams. Of course you've got Derek Carr, you've got Lamar Jackson. But Derek Carr hasn't impressed. I'm not a big fan of Gruden, but and then I don't know what weapons they have available in Baltimore and what they can do. So I'm gonna say 30 to 35, 30 to 45. I'm sorry.
Man, all of that, I thought you were going to go 0 to 30.
I thought about it. I was really leaning that way.
That puts me in a pickle because I wanted the 30 to 45.
Well, you can take it. You don't have to take the under 30.
Oh, I know I can take it, but do I want to try to get 2 points and say under 30? But then that means somebody's getting 2 points, and if it's not me, then I don't like that. I gotta go 30 to 45.
30, 45. All right. So there we go. We have our first week of NFL predictions, and we'll keep this going every week throughout the season. We'll see where we come out. These should be pretty easy to keep track of. So, looking forward to it. It's Thursday night kickoff. Gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully, it's not on like NFL Network or some shit, right?
No, it's on NBC.
NBC. Oh, sweet! I can watch that one then. Oh wait,
NBC.
open house. I get my kids' open house on Thursday night.
What's more important?
Skip it. Skip it.
Well, if my kids aren't feeling any better, then I will. So yeah, there you go. Here we have it.
Kids are sick that night.
Yeah. My son, my youngest son woke up Monday morning with almost 101 fever.
Jeez.
Yeah. And no idea what's going on. This is his second time being sick since school started. So, but he's feeling better now. Might get him. Might go back to school on Thursday. So, give him a full 24 to 48 hours without having fever. So, always fun. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here to talk about our kids. We are here to talk New Mexico United. And guys, we can finally talk about something good, something great that happened to this team. Saturday night out at the Lab, New Mexico United defeated Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC by a final of 3-2, easily winning the season series with Colorado, taking 3 wins out of 4 matches this year. And United currently sit 2 points out of the playoff race after results from around the division happened over the weekend. And so, I mean, this is, we went into this. So I think if I remember correctly, we all predicted United was going to win this. I believe we had 2-1, 3-1, and 2-0, 3-0.
2-0.
2-0.
No, 3-0.
3-0. Okay.
I think Carl predicted it 3-0.
Yeah, I couldn't. I remember 2 of the predictions. I couldn't remember the third. But we came out Saturday night, scored in the 3rd minute, looked really good, for pretty much the entire game. And then, obviously we have the unfortunate own goal by Rosh. United came back, scored 2 more goals after that. Colorado did pick up a second in the 88th minute. We saw a red card in stoppage time, and we'll talk about that as well. And but guys, how does it feel to finally be talking about a win again?
Oh, it feels great. And I think it more importantly, some of the details from it make it even better. Like, had we won 1-0 on like an own goal or a set piece goal, it might be a little different. But the way we did it has me very optimistic that maybe Coach will finally see something that we've all seen for a long time, if you know what I'm talking about.
I think we do. And I think Casey
Let's
called it
just
last
say
week.
JPG's not that good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I think he's worse than that. Yeah, so I feel great to be talking about a win, and the way it came about, like I said, is fantastic. So, well, we can dive into some of the minutiae of it in a minute. I'll let Earl talk for a minute first.
Oh no, carry on.
All right.
See, I'm a little pre-entertained right now with a fantasy draft going on.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, great time to do your draft, Earl, while we're in the middle of a show.
I know 5 minutes ago he didn't even start fantasy football.
Hey.
And now he's like, "Oh yeah, I need to do that." Why on it? Why NFL Network though? Why
I'm in the
NFL.com?
waiting room
I don't know. That's a good question.
It was so
because
annoying.
the Yahoo one wasn't working for me. Listen. The Yahoo one wasn't working, and the ESPN one was just giving me fucking fits. So I said, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I
You
typically do
couldn't wait.
ESPN. Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, the biggest thing when the lineup came out was there was one name that was glaringly absent in a positive way, and that was Juan Pablo Guzman. And look, Juan Pablo, if you listen to this, I'm sorry, I truly am, because I I've talked to you a couple times. I think you're a great human. I think the whole team is full of great humans, but on the pitch has just not been not been great. So um, we saw that. I was optimistic. We had the actual lineup that came out on social media had Rivas up top and Isidro playing next to Azira. But then, real quickly, like in the first couple minutes, you saw Rivas drop way back, and you saw Isidro kind of step up a little bit, and they kind of flip flopped. And as the name of this episode is called, Casey was right. Casey Gasson was on last week with us, and he mentioned Rivas playing in Teneri or in Guzman's spot, and that's basically what we saw. And we saw Rivas contribute to both goals. The assist on the Suggs goal, which was a beautiful through ball, just spun that what would that be, left back, just spun him around completely as Suggs cut in off his shoulder, and that was just beautiful. And then the play that Weehan scored on, it was another beautiful through ball from Rivas to Suggs again, but then this time Suggs obviously cut it back to Weehan right there at the top of basically at the top of the six, who finished with a beautiful volley. So seeing that and then seeing how it changed when Guzman came in, he didn't have his worst game. He did give the ball away a couple times right after he came in, but the offense after Rivas moved up to the top and Guzman and Azira were there in the middle was non-existent. Those last 10 minutes after Guzman came in, we didn't see hardly any attack whatsoever. So hopefully that leads to coach seeing that and going, oh, hey, this worked. This clicked. Let's roll with it for a while and see what happens.
All right, look, I'm not, I've gotten, I'm well on board with the JPG is not our greatest midfielder. I'm on board with that. Immediately after the game Saturday night, there were people bashing JPG for his play and saying we immediately lost the midfield when he came in. Now, I'm going to take a couple exceptions to this. JPG had one giveaway. I saw, you could see what he was trying to do on that chipped pass over. I think he was looking for Sergio, or maybe it was Josh over on the left. You could see what he was trying to do, and the ball just, wasn't quite on the mark. Leading up to that, he did get tackled from behind, and yes, lost the ball, but the ref called a foul. But JPG was not the reason that we proceeded for, and really, honestly, you could say like the last 15 minutes counting stoppage time. That's where we started to have issues. And you can't put all of that on JPG. That's on Colorado and what they were doing to try to find that second goal and then find an equalizer later on. Now, if you look at the stat line from Saturday night, JPG had a pretty good night. He did. He had a pretty good night. I think he won like 6 or 7 duels, had an interception or 2. Like, he didn't have a bad night. And the thing about that defensive mid role is that unless they make mistakes, they're not going to show up. And like, really, I could not see JPG doing anything like terrible on Saturday night. So like, I understand we don't like JPG. JPG is past his prime. We need someone else in there. I get that. But to come in and blame JPG for Colorado pressing as hard as they were, like, that's not on JPG. Come on, guys.
Well, so the one post, I don't remember all of it, but I don't remember him specifically saying too much about that night in particular. But you cannot, if you watch that match and you watch the first 70 minutes with no JPG and in the last 20 with JPG, yes, Colorado started pressing. We gave up one goal with JPG on the pitch. They scored that second one with him on the pitch. We technically didn't give up any goals without it, or with him out there, or without him out there. Sorry, when he was on the bench. And we scored 3 when he was not there, and then we scored 0 when he was there. And we have talked the whole season how the offense has looked dead for multiple reasons. And then all of a sudden, you get Rivas in there for the JPG role, and our offense comes alive almost directly because of Rivas. Like I said, the Suggs goal, not only was the through ball just perfect, he won the ball in the defensive third, passed it around a couple times right there, and then realizes he has space in front of him. Juan Pablo Guzman does not make that run with the ball.
No, I
Juan
get
Pablo
that.
Guzman dribbles back and forth and then passes it backwards.
No, I
passes it
absolutely,
forward
I
10 feet.
absolutely get that. Like JPG, when we've talked about this, JPG is not a player that goes forward. He is a defensive mid. He is not someone that's got to run at defenders to try to make space, and that's what Sergio can do. Absolutely, Sergio can do that. I'm not taking anything away from Sergio. Sergio had a fantastic performance on Saturday night. And, when we sat down, when we talked to Troy after the fact, I even asked him about dropping JPG. I specifically asked him about dropping JPG. And Troy talked about Sergio's verticality and what he can bring to the offense. And so I have no problem with it at all. I take exception to people who just flat out just blaming JPG for the last 15 minutes of the match and saying that it's his fault. That's what I have a problem with.
I get it, but there's a direct correlation between when we looked dangerous on the offensive end and still played solid defense and only gave up the one own goal, to when our offense just stopped completely and we give up one goal, and if it wasn't for Illich's header or headed clearance, we give up a tying goal. And both of those second things happen when Guzman is on the pitch. So it wasn't necessarily Guzman passing the ball to a Colorado Springs player that started any of that, like it has been in the past. But I think it's a mindset thing with everybody on the pitch that when Guzman's in there, things are different. They just are. We've seen it for 20 and a half games now, basically, where the offense and the defense alone, they just don't look the same. He made too many mistakes throughout the season, and it's not so much looking at his game Saturday in a vacuum and saying, oh, he did this wrong and he did this wrong and he did this wrong. It is when you look at the whole big picture of the season, including the second half when he was in there last Saturday, the offense and the defense just look different. And I think even if it wasn't him that gave the ball up, or even if you said he had a good statistical game and wasn't necessarily there, the problem necessarily, quote unquote, it's a correlation to me between those two things. And if coach wants to bring him on the second half like he did, and Guzman can have a decent game, that's fine. I just think it should have been for a Zira instead of a Cedro, and you still let Rivas be that player next to Guzman, to where we can kind of sit in still, and Rivas can do a Cedro's job and can do Guzman's job and can do a Zira's job and play that defensive mid. But with Rivas there, at least the other team has to think, okay, we can push forward, but if we push forward and we mess up, Rivas can make us pay. Azir and Guzman aren't going to make us pay, so let's keep sending numbers forward. So even if it's not he passed the ball to Colorado Springs and gave up a goal, it is him being back there with Azira and the other team going, well, the worst that's going to happen is he's going to pass it 6 yards in front of him and we can still press. It's not like he's going to dribble out of pressure or play a long ball over the top to Devin or something like that.
Earl, what's your take on the match Saturday night, and specifically, JPG and some of the comments that have been made around social media?
So we all know my take on JPG. Obviously, I've never been a fan of him, and I'm not gonna start tonight either. With that being said, I'm gonna continue on that bandwagon. We played an incredible 70 minutes without JPG, and then as soon as he stepped on the pitch, our offense died. We had no offensive power, and everything that came to the midfield line got sent backwards by either JPG or Azira. So I'm going to continue on it that I'm not a huge fan of JPG. Give me a couple seconds.
Julio Jones is your next pick.
Who are you picking? T. Higgins.
Calvin Ridley.
There you go.
All right.
I'm ashamed of both of you.
All right. So I'm going to be interrupted here in a couple seconds again because it's
What pick are you?
standard draft. Fucking like second to last.
That's a good. I was 9th and I liked it in my big money league. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Anyways, so I'm 14 out of 15, and I'm about to draft again here in 2 picks. But anyways, so yeah, as soon as he stepped on the pitch, our offense died. We didn't have any kind of power. We didn't have any kind of motivation to get into the attacking third, and everything that wound up in the midfield pit, in the midfield line, got sent back. And I texted right away that how does Brendan Burke get a yellow, but Guzman doesn't, which he finally did get one. He doesn't play smart. He is either giving the ball up, which surprisingly he didn't do, or he's giving up stupid freaking tackles and stupid penalties and fouls. Not in penalties, but he gives up fouls. An example is about 4 minutes into his playing time, he is sliding, he's tackling someone from behind, and then asking the ref, well, what did I do wrong? You freaking tackled someone from behind. So I don't think he plays smart. Was I happy to see him on the bench? Ask the academy kids, because they heard my opinion on it, and they feel the same way as I do. Yeah, I can go on all night about this one. I'm going to stop because it's my turn to draft again.
I mean, speaking about his play, I mean, and we've seen it from both him and Tenari. They do make bad decisions at times. They do make some rather rash tackles. And I know there are some folks that have been talking about, when's he going to be suspended? Surely he's got enough to be suspended at this point. I mean, JPG has been awarded 6 yellow cards this season, and because of the good behavior rule that is in there, 3 of those yellow cards would have been dropped. So he still has 3 sitting there because he got
I think the only thing I do give to JPG, so it's not all bad, just because negativity is not my thing anymore. Yeah, right. We'll wait till next week. So the only good thing I do give to JPG is on that red card that was given, he was the first person there. He was the first person standing up to Nagalina, or however the fuck you say his name, and pretty much begging the ref to give something. So yes, that's the only good thing I do give to JPG. Other than that, he is what I've been saying all day, booty, and that nice little Cheerio in the middle of it.
Earl, of course, is referencing the red card that was shown to Michi Galina on Saturday night, about the 93rd minute of play. If you're not familiar with the situation, I mean, most of you probably are at this point. Ball went out for a Colorado Springs corner. One of the ball manager behind United's goal over in front of the left field bullpen, had one ball.
He is an academy player for New Mexico United.
Yes.
Just gonna throw it. So he knows damn good and well what he was doing there.
Yeah, so he is an academy kid. He had one ball in hand, the other ball, got tossed to him or something. He rolled, bounced to him. He turned, he rolled it towards the corner. Neither Galena or the other switchbacks player that came up to him, saw that obviously. And again, I know people are saying he was time wasting. I mean, he's obviously not time. He's already sent the ball over to the corner. It's not, it's not. It's not his fault that Galena and the other switchbacks players didn't see it. So I don't think there was any intentional time wasting there. As soon as Galena came up to him, said something to him, he gave him the ball, and then Galena obviously.
Hang on, take a timeout.
Thank you, Earl, because I disagree with this completely.
So, United was a little bit short this week on staff and field crew, i.e., ball boys. So there was quite a few young kids on that field that were called up at the very, very, very last minute. I think we were about ready to kick a ball when we found these ball kids. I was there when they did the little tactical instructions. I'm not going to give the tactical instructions away, but there are some tactics involved. So, do I think he was wasting time? No. But do I think he was very tactful in what he was doing? Yes.
Well, he has been a ball boy before. I have seen him there. He's one of the academy kids. I cannot think of his name, and I don't necessarily want to call him out.
Paolo.
And so I know he's been out there before. He was clearly time wasting, guys.
Hey, it's not time wasting. It's tactfully handling the ball.
He did roll the ball, yes. He rolled it as slow as he possibly could to where it would actually make it to the corner. He did it behind the boards where even if Galena wanted to run up and grab it, he would have had to run around the boards. I don't know if they saw it or not. They might not have. And that might have been why they got mad. But he knew what he was doing. And yeah, he tossed the ball to Galena eventually, but it was some gamesmanship for sure.
Well, gamesmanship or not, Galena, once he received the ball from the ball boy, proceeded to throw it back at him, and
he didn't throw it; he rocketed it.
Yeah, he threw it back at the ball boy, hit him, and was shown a red card pretty quickly. And none of the switchbacks obviously came to his defense, which is understandable. And I think it was yesterday, the league came out and made their announcement on his punishment. And typically, violent conduct gets you 3 matches. Galena was given a 2-match suspension. Before we finish talking about the match, I mean, do you guys feel like that's a fair suspension for violent conduct?
No, I feel like it should be 3 to 4, especially the nature of how it was done and who it was done to. I mean, it's one thing if you're throwing it at JPG's face. I'm okay with that. It's another thing if you're throwing it at a 16-year-old's torso/genital areas. That's unacceptable.
I mean, probably should have been 3, but I'm not gonna throw a tantrum over it being 2. What stood out to me in that whole scenario were 2 things. You mentioned Guzman earlier, standing up for him right away. Ryden sees it. Ryden's like the captain of the defense, right? And he's over there trying to get everybody in place for this corner, and he sees it and just books it from right in front of the goal, basically at the penalty spot over there to have the kids back. And then on the other team, you gotta love Haji Berry, man. Haji Berry was right there, helped the kid up, put his arm around him, gave him a little tap on the chest, made sure he was good. Haji Berry is just, from every experience that I've had with him and seen, and not even on the pitch, just off the pitch, the dude just seems like a gem, just a complete sweetheart of a guy. And I was happy to see that because it could have been easily, it could have been easy for the Colorado Springs players to see that and maybe think that the ball boy was playing it up a little bit and kind of brushing him off and arguing, and none of them really did that. But Barry went the extra mile and grabbed him and helped him up and said some kind words to him. It seemed like, anyways, and gave him a little pat, and then went to go play, and that shows just kind of the person that Haji Berry is, and he's somebody that if he ended up on United at any point, I would not be upset at that at all, even if he wasn't scoring 17, 18 goals.
Yeah, it's props to him for doing that, and the United players should run over there and standing up for the ball manager, and yeah, I felt like it was a little too soft on the punishment. I mean, my thing is it's an adult base, throwing a ball at a minor. Okay, like that's where I have an issue with this. Like, yes, he is one of our academy players, but he's a minor. And Galena is an adult, and that sort of behavior shouldn't be tolerated at all. And I mean, kudos to the league for making a decision as fast as they did, but I think 3 or 4 would have been a better call in terms of suspension. I feel like I said, I just feel like 2 is just a little soft. I don't think it really, says, hey, we're not going to tolerate this kind of stuff. I mean, we saw. There was, I think it was Charlotte. Was it Charlotte? Kicked the ball into the stands, and got like I think it was like 4 or 5 match suspension for that. So I don't know. I think I just think USL kind of missed the mark a little bit here, and while I'm sure they don't condone the actions, 2 matches and an undisclosed fine, which the player's not actually going to pay. Switchbacks are going to pay that. I just don't think it's enough. Neither here nor there. We don't have to worry about Colorado Springs anymore this season, but there were some very good things that came out of the match tonight. Obviously, the run up to the first goal in the 3rd minute, Bees puts in a fantastic shot off the volley. Again, Sergio got the hockey assist there. Josh with an assist, and then I thought that was fantastic to see. And then the energy level was just there. It was pretty well spot on the entire match. I think Rosh got the unfortunate, own goal. I think we could all see like what Rosh was trying to do. Either head the ball, to the side of goal or over the goal, one of the two, and just didn't quite get the angle right. So it's just unfortunate for Rosh, but I was glad to see the guys respond to that the way that they did and come back out and get a second goal there in the first half.
Yeah, I think that, well, Rosh has been absolute nails lately, so not gonna throw him under the bus just because of that own goal. And I think that almost, I hate to give Earl any more ammunition, but I think that comes down to Tambakis a little bit. I'm not saying he should have stopped it, but there was nobody behind Rosh. It was clear. That's on Tambakis to either communicate, hey, you're good, just let it go, or hey, I got it, and Tambakis needs to come out and get it. But all in all, it happens. It's not.
So
it's not
before when you say there was no one behind Rosh, you mean
there was not a Colorado Springs player behind Rosh?
Yes, there was. He was right behind him.
I'll have to watch it again because I remember watching it and going, "That was clear." I thought maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I will say that. But either way, it happens. Goals like that happen. I mean, own goals are a thing. That's why we got one last week. With Phoenix punching in off a dude's nuts. So things like that happen. I'm not gonna fret too much about it. And like you said, I was very happy with how they bounced back and stayed on the attack and stayed pushing and ended up getting that second goal. And then it was nice to actually come out of halftime and get a goal instead of giving up one out of halftime.
Yeah, that was nice. Dev gets down to the box and takes a foul. I think we all agree it might have been somewhat soft on the foul, but it was a foul in the box. And that was the first time since August of last year that we've even been awarded a penalty, which is absolutely insane. It just feels like it's been so long. And so we were talking about it, in the press box. It's like, that's just unbelievable. And the time before that was in June of last year. So it's been a while since we got to the spot. And so, it was good to see, Dev in there having the know-how to get in there and take that foul, and get that call. So,
well, and two things there. One, we don't create a lot in our own box. We try to create from more either out wide or kind of centrally towards the top of the box. So we don't have a lot of possession inside the box. There's not a lot that we do that is in a position to draw penalties, which has always kind of bothered me. And one thing that Dev does really well is hold up play. And so on a case like that, where you've got to throw in that you can take directly to him, you can see things like that, and it's tended to work out for us. So, the more possession you have inside the penalty box, the more likely you are to get penalties called for you. And so hopefully we see more of that going forward, where Dev has his back to the goal and is backing somebody down, but then the thing that kind of drives me nuts is Dev is officiated very strangely. You can see times when he just gets annihilated, going up for a header or going for a loose ball or something, and they just let it go. But then you see like that penalty, which I think was a little soft, and you had a few just outside of the box that were called Saturday night that I thought were kind of soft. And so I just wish I could see some consistency from the officials when it comes to Dev. I know he's a big, strong dude, and a lot of times he's going up against people that are smaller than him. But it's kind of like Shaq in the 90s,
Hack a Shaq.
Well, Shaq was so big, and kind of like LeBron now. He's just so big, and getting fouled. He's so strong that he's able to finish through it, and so they don't call the foul on him a lot of times, even though he gets hit. And so Dev, I think a lot of times he either fights through it so it doesn't look that bad, or he initiates the contact, and because he's so big, they're like, oh no, that was on you, even though maybe it necessarily wasn't. So I'd just really like to see some consistency there and help us to game plan in a positive way for that, to where, yeah, if they're calling penalties or calling fouls, then send the ball long to Dev and have him go up and get it and try to bring it down and get fouled. But that just doesn't seem to happen very often.
Also, just a side note on Dev, he is also not a friendly interviewer.
Yeah, Dev's answers Saturday night were very short, and he kind of stared me down during one of them.
He gave you the beady eye glare,
Yeah.
Why the fuck you asking me a question like that?
Well, what was the question?
So the question was, Dev got fouled. I mentioned, that it had been a while since United had gotten someone to the spot. And I said, in a situation like that, where it's been a while and, Rodriguez is there trying to ice you out, what's your process, in preparing for that and stepping up to take that shot? Which I thought was a pretty fair question. It's been been a while, and Rodriguez was clearly trying to ice him, standing off to the side, drinking his water, taking his time. But yeah, Dev just stared me down while he was answering. It's really quite funny.
So it's weird because Devin usually gives pretty good answers, and is usually pretty cordial in the press conferences. I wonder if it's
his exact answer to that question was, "It's all a mind game." I wait till he's ready, then it's a mind game. I wait till he's ready, and it's a mind game. And I stared at Seth like, "You're an idiot for asking that question."
That's strange to me, but hey, who knows what kind of mood he was in? Maybe he was annoyed because he knows that we've been talking a lot of crap about the team, and he's like, "There's your win. Don't ask me stupid questions. I don't want to talk to you."
Well,
Who
the
knows?
the other question I was directed to him was basically, does it feel like a monkey off their shoulders, monkey off their back? And Dev's answer was like, well, let's wait till next week.
Yeah, we'll see next week.
Yeah.
So he's learning from Troy. Good.
I mean, it was funny because we got really good answers like from Troy and Josh, and I thought Bees gave some pretty good answers too. But yeah, and like you said, Dev is usually very jovial, very friendly, and it was just strange. But I mean, it was definitely a different atmosphere, from what we've been seeing from the guys and from Troy over the past 2 months basically, and then them coming out and they're kind of joking around a little bit when they came up. I guess like they were joking saying they were waiting for Josh to come out of the locker room so they could all come up together, and I guess Josh came out separately and beat them up to the press area, and they're like, "How'd you get up here?" He's like, "Oh, they're just shortcut." So I mean, they really.
Dev had a quote that they posted it on social media, and then of course we get the quote sheets in our email. And he had one that I saw on social media, and then the thing that kind of made me think, and it was his answer to closing out the win. Apparently, I don't know what the question was because we don't get that information, but he says, "Quote: Last week after Phoenix, we got together. We had a really honest conversation, a heart to heart with a good group of guys on what we need to do. What can we all do better? Looking at ourselves individually and collectively, we executed that tonight."
So on that one.
I gotta be thinking that JPG was at the center of that conversation.
So the question that was asked was, what was your mindset after last week's heartbreaking loss coming into this week's game, and how do you focus on this week's game going off of last week's heartbreaking loss?
Well, it's like a team-only meeting, a players-only meeting in the NBA after a team's like in a rough patch, and sometimes it works, sometimes it turns the team around, and sometimes it backfires. And I think that has to do a lot with the players that are on the team, whether they have egos or not. And I don't think this team has a lot of egos. I think that might be why Brian Brown is no longer on this team, because goal scorers typically have egos, at least a little bit, and you kind of saw that with his body language at times when he didn't get what he wanted. But anyways, I digress. So with the players that we have on this team and their mindset and their attitude most of the time that we've seen, I think a players only meeting works really well, and I think that mixed with lineup changes could have led to this really fantastic outing that we saw. I mean, even the goal that they actually scored, it was a perfectly placed pass that like kind of held up in a triangle of Sheed, Ryden, and Tembakis. Like it was just kind of like in no man's land, kind of like a little pop fly in baseball that lands in the shallow outfield. And I can't remember who scored that goal. Why can't I think of his name?
That was 37. Crap, sorry, I'm looking it up. Toure.
Yeah. Yaya just got to it first and was able to get it up and over Tembakis, and that, I mean, I can kind of live with that kind of goal because it takes like a absolutely perfectly placed ball that happens sometimes. We saw Haji Berry just happen a couple matches against Colorado Springs ago. So you kind of see that kind of stuff happen, and you just tip your hat and you move on. And I think we held on there at the end barely, but you definitely could tell that they came together there at the end and said, okay, we have to get this freaking win. And everybody kind of left it out there. We saw Illich with right after the red card on that corner that they earned during that, right before that red card. Ball came in, kind of bounced around, a header that didn't have a whole lot of pace on it, but it was headed for that upper 90, and Illich is able to just kind of rise up out of nowhere and get his head to it, put it over the bar for another corner, which was dealt with easily, and away we went. And then of course the last play of the game, Um, kind of a loose ball falls directly to Haji Berry, who puts his laces on it and scared the crap out of me. But it was right at Timbakis, and Timbakis was able to catch it, lay down on it, and then they blew the whistle, and that was it. 3 points, 3 points to us. Austin did beat San Antonio tonight, by the way.
Did they really?
Yeah, 2-1. That is not great, but not bad for us.
That's unexpected.
It is a little unexpected, but I'm okay with it because I would rather have those teams kind of beat up on each other and win here and win there, as opposed to one of them just kind of running away with it. Because now we're kind of, we could pass Austin, we could pass SAFC. I don't think we'll catch Colorado, but everybody else, RGV is like freaking tailspin right now. So,
I mean, to be fair, Harry thought Harry was DMing me the other day, and Harry was under the impression that Austin Bold was basically throwing in the towel on their season. And I mean, look at this. I mean, even if we, looking at Saturday night, looking ahead to Friday night, if we do win, I mean, just looking at our result against Austin, if we win, we would jump into fourth, and we would be behind San Antonio on goal differential. But there's a lot of ways that this can still play out, and I just, before we do look ahead, I do want to go back. I want to talk about that second goal that Colorado scored. You mentioned the ball kind of got lost in an area like between like Rosh, Ryden, and Tambakis. And looking at the way that this goal plays out. So the delivery from Torres comes from just their side of the midfield line. And you've got Illich deeper than both Bees and Cello. Not that was Sergio, right? Sergio at that point. So like, first of all, why is Illich deeper than both of those guys? Number one. Number two, you've got JPG just on our side of the midfield line. He seems to be trying to cut off some of the passing angles there. I don't have a problem with that. But where I have a problem is that Rosh is pushed up almost to the center circle, leaving tons of space behind him, and the ball gets played into an area between Josh Suggs and Kalen Ryden. Suggs, who is trying to track back. And so it was a perfect pass from Torres. I don't understand what Rosh was doing in that situation. I don't understand why Rosh was pushed so far up. I don't understand why Illich was dropped so deep. So there's some questions here. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Why were we seemingly like out of position at this one point? And then after the match, Earl and I were talking in the box. We're talking about Alex's positioning on that play, and I understand Alex's decision. I know why he came in, and I'm pretty sure that Casey would agree with me on this. Like, Alex comes out to try to cut down on the angle and try to force an off-balance, quicker shot than what Torre wanted to take, and basically just left him. The only option he had was to go near post, and Torre put a fantastic shot on the ball. So I don't know. I just wanted to break that down a little bit, see what you guys thought about that. I mean, do we think it was just us being caught out of position? Because I like Josh. I think he's absolutely able to track back. He can do things like that. But Torre put himself in a fantastic position. Torres put a great through ball on that. And I mean, they capitalized on that moment.
So I think it was just us getting beat. Me and you did talk in the press box about Tambakis' positioning, and I have went back and I watched it, and I'm not even gonna fight it because Tambakis could have been anywhere on the pitch and he was still gonna get beat.
Yes, I'm not. Illich. I don't know why you brought up Illich. To me, he's a non-factor in this play.
Well, the reason I brought him, he had dropped, so he was the closest person to Torres.
We're playing a deep. You look at this play, and it's off a throw in. The ball goes into Torres, and actually it doesn't go into Torres, but it gets played to Torres, and we have 3 guys on our half in the attacking half, and that's Wuhan, Rivas, and Illich. Illich chases the ball. That's why he's the farthest back at the point where it's played. But so, I mean, they're all right there. I can, as he's playing this ball, Wuhan and Illich are within 2 yards of each other as far as depth, and then Rivas is probably like 10 yards in front of him. Illich has the fresh legs, so he's going to be the one that's got the most energy running around chasing things. But to me, I look at that and I see 3 people in our half. Where's the other 8? Or the other 7, sorry, besides the keeper. We know where he's at. And then you see the ball come through, and Sheed is the one that I have no idea what's going on. I didn't realize it was Sheed was so far up. I thought he was in the Suggs position. So it actually falls into like no man's land between Suggs, Ryden, and Tambakis. I thought it was Sheed, but you're right. Sheed is way out of position. I don't know why he's so far up. Unless he thinks it's going to go to Barry, and it could be because Barry's sitting there seemingly right in front of Sheed when the ball is played, and then you see Sheed kind of leave him and run backwards. So it could have been a thing of, hey, Haji Berry's still out there, and Haji Berry is still probably the best player in the USL right now. Don't let him beat us. Sheed, if he's wherever he is, you need to be within this close to him, and we'll deal with the rest with everybody else. Suggs looks like he's marking the guy on the outside, and then he sees that ball coming in and goes, oh, yeah, I got to get back. So without knowing the details of what was coached up at that time, I will say Sheed's out of position, and everybody else does pretty good if it wasn't for a perfect ball played from 40 yards away. We're not talking about the second goal at all. And just like you guys said, Tambakis coming out, I think, is the right move. He sees that his guys are clearly beat, comes out, thinks he can cut that angle off. My biggest problem with goalies doing this isn't the fact that they do it, but it seems like they always slide or go down, and like it almost looks like Tambakis like matrixes the ball, like he comes sliding in and he goes like this.
Yeah.
And the ball goes basically right where if he'd have just stayed straight up, it might have hit him in the face, but it wouldn't have gone in the net. And I see that constantly with goalies, not just Tambakis, but just goalies of all levels, whether it's Premier League or Bundesliga or these World Cup qualifiers. They do it all the time.
Maybe it's something we can ask Casey. Why they did it. My thinking is that from that close, you're not going to want to try to put too much under the ball. You don't want to try to get, not try to get it up too much because you're going to run a greater risk. So my thinking is that the keeper's coming out and they're going down to try to block a lower shot, So that's what I think is why they're doing it.
Well, they definitely try to make themselves wider instead of taller to cut down the angle of the size of the goal. But I just feel like offensive players have figured that out lately. Maybe I'm not a soccer historian or anything like that, so I don't know exactly how it's been played like that. But I just see it time and time again where they do that, and then the ball goes over their head, and it wouldn't go over their head if they just stayed tall, and tried to stop it. I'm not saying like go at them standing up, like all crazy, but just don't matrix it.
Yeah,
just go in and stay. Drop down to your knees maybe or something like that and slide down there, but don't bend backwards. Like stay vertical and try to block it with your chest or head or something like that so they can't chip it over you. But either way, it's a fantastic finish. It's a great pass by Torres, and like I said, you just tip your hat to it and you move on.
Yeah, no, I get it. So go ahead, Earl.
So table that question on why they do that. Mr. Casey is actually typing the answer right now.
All right, great. So I do have one final question, and it's an oddity from the match Saturday night. So typically, what we see late in games, if you score a goal and you're down, you'll then run up, grab the ball, and take it back to the center circle to try to get plays restarted a little bit quicker. For whatever reason, the referee took the ball out of Kalen's hands after this goal was scored and then walked the ball up to the center circle. What is the referee doing in this?
I think he's keeping it from being that whole the defensive player rushes and grabs the ball, the offensive player comes up, tries to knock it out of his hand and hurry up. I think by the ref taking it out of Ryden's hand, you even see Yaya come up and like put his arm around the ref, like, hey, can I have the ball so I can hustle this up? And the ref's like, no, it's okay. I'm keeping track of time. I got it.
Yeah.
So I think it's more to just keep tensions from getting high, especially in a match, in the fourth match of a 4-game series with 2 division teams. And yes, that goal cut it to 1 with, basically a minute left of regulation. And so to me, I didn't rewatch it, but that's what I thought when I first watched it was, hey, this ref has control of this match. And part of it was by taking the ball and saying, okay, instead of you guys going crazy and fighting each other, I'm just going to take this with me and I will set it down and we will get started.
Okay, I was just curious what you guys like, because to me it was weird. Like, I've never seen a referee do that. And, as a referee, I wouldn't think to do that. I'd just be like, okay, let's just get the ball back to the center and go. Now, like, if Kalen had pulled the ball out of the net and, like, ran over to the sideline with it or punted it at, over the left field wall, then I could understand, but, Kalen got it, was walking, he hadn't gotten very far, but he was walking back towards the center circle. So it was just weird. And then the referee didn't even, like, run it back. He just kind of, like, walked it back.
Yeah, and you can see, because I just rewatched it, Kalen tosses it to him. And when Kalen does that, Yaya and I can't see who else it is, but there's another Colorado Springs player running towards Kalen at that time. And then when Kalen gives the ball to the ref, they run to the ref. And Yaya puts his arm around him. He's like running up saying, give me the ball. And the ref's like, he blows his whistle and he points to the center circle as he's walking over there. And Yaya's like, okay, all right, I got you. And he does put his arm around him and they kind of share a little chuckle, and then Yaya goes his own way and the ref takes the ball back. So I think that's what it is just diffuse the situation, not let anything happen. Maybe a little foreshadowing for a red card that comes up later. So I think it was just to try to keep things cool and not let there be any fights, or not necessarily fights, but those little scuffles that happen, especially at the end of close games like that, where there's one team's maybe accused of time wasting and the other one is upset, just like the Galena thing. Maybe in an alternate universe, Kalen and Galena get into it, and Galena throws the ball at Kalen, and still gets a red card. Who knows? So I think it's just to keep tensions from getting too high, and then the ref just says, "I got it," and we move on.
Could be it. Early got a response yet from Casey?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about Friday night against Austin Bold. There were 2 other matches tonight as well, not just Austin Bold. Tampa Bay Rowdies beat Charleston Battery 1-0, and Lou City beat Hartford 4-2. And of course, we mentioned it already. Austin beat San Antonio 2-1. All 3 goals in that match were scored within 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not look at that.
Yeah, Austin Bold picked up the first in the 40th, and then San Antonio answered in the 42nd, and then Austin picked up another one in the 45th. 6 yellow cards in that match. Looked to have been might have been a little testy there for a little while. So yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, Austin's been kind of on a free fall lately. We talked about it. That's their first win in
6 matches.
6 matches, yeah. So they've been winless for a while. Picking up some draws in there as well. So
no, I take that back. Yeah, 6 matches.
Yeah, 6. So Austin Bowl also fighting for a playoff spot. They did just loan out a player to RGV. So yeah, I mean it's like I mentioned earlier, Harry was DMing me and said he felt like Austin Bold is throwing in the towel on this season. We all know that there's a chance that Austin Bold aren't even a club next season. So who knows what's going to happen there? And, you know, how are we feeling going into Friday night? Do we feel like we've got an advantage now over Austin? Do we feel like we have maybe a little bit of momentum going out? What do you guys think?
I think that we go in with a lot of confidence. Yeah, even though Austin won their first game in 6 matches, we won our first game in 7. So
So take that, Austin. We suck more.
Austin suck it. Yeah, we're the sticky Cheerio in the middle of the boot. Gosh. Anyways, I digress. So, yeah, I think that we come in on a really good confidence run, and I kind of like our chances this weekend.
Yeah, I think if we can take the positives out of this match, and I just crapped on Juan Pablo Guzman for 20 minutes. Even if he's in that Azira role and Rivas is the one that drops back, I think Guzman can do what Azira did. I feel like Azira isn't going to be one that gets in the referee's face and gets in other players' face and causes tension to be high and gets a yellow card or anything like that, which we could see from Guzman, obviously. But the biggest thing that we need to take away is we need Rivas in the midfield there, or whoever's there. We need to do what Rivas did, and if he turns and there's acres of space, dribble into it. If he turns and there's a long ball that can be played, play that long ball. Just push the ball forward as opposed to just trying to control possession. I felt like we actually had possession with a purpose a lot of this last match instead of just empty possession where we're passing it back and forth. I felt like we actually looked to attack, and that was in large part because Rivas was back there. So I am optimistic and feeling like we have figured some stuff out and can turn it around and hopefully get 3 points Friday and get back up into a playoff position. But that is going to come down to, do we take things from this last match and continue them instead of going back to our old ways of just empty possession. So hopefully with the result and how well we looked, we can say, okay, there's other 7 matches. I know Coach talked about looking good and having the right process and owning possession and creating chances and this, that, and the other. And to an extent, that is true, but it didn't come close to what it looked like Saturday night. And so we really need to keep that going. And I think the 2 things that I look at are, one, we decided to take out a very defensive-minded midfielder and put in Rivas back there as an offensive-minded midfielder, an offensive-minded defensive midfielder, if that makes sense, against the highest-scoring team in the league. So I like that Coach wasn't like, okay, these guys are scary good on offense. We're going to play some defensive-minded players and just play it safe. I like that he did not do that. I also think it's telling that he decided to bench Guzman, or at least not have him in the starting lineup, even with Salih nicked up. You guys made fun of me for saying knocked up last time, but I don't know what else to say.
Picked up a knock.
Even with him dealing with an injury and not in the 18, he still had Guzman start off on the bench. And I think that if Salih is going to come in and play the role that we assume he's going to, I mean, I don't think you make a transfer for a player that you don't intend on playing at least some. So I could see him taking some of Guzman's minutes when he gets healthy. So even with him out, for him to sit Guzman makes me think that it's not just a let's give this a whirl thing. I think they really identified a problem in that players only meeting. If it was, I'm saying it's a players only meeting. Coach might have been there too, but I think they really identified a problem, and that problem was the midfield and the lack of attacking threat there, and they changed that, and hopefully that continues. And if it does, I think we get an easy win in Austin. I think I'll save my prediction, but I think it could be pretty lopsided.
Yeah, we've actually played Austin Bull pretty well this year. A win and 2 draws. We put up 4 goals against them this year. We did, let's see, we beat them here at home back in May, and then drew with them here in June. Drew on the road just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, we looked so much better. I think that was one of the I think it's probably the most dangerous we've looked in the attacking third in quite a while. And like you said, Troy keeps talking about how good things, all these good things that were happening and how things were looking good. And whatever. This looked really good. We looked decisive. We were moving the ball, like you said, with purpose. I like Sergio in that role. I like, and it's not, I don't necessarily think of Sergio as a defensive mid, but stick him in that defensive mid role. Like you said, he has the verticality. He can go north-south. He can run at defenders and make them commit to something, which is what happened on Saturday night. And we saw that, make space for Josh. Something else that we did really well, we've done well 3 times so far against Colorado Springs, is deal with their pace. And, we had our predictions, and generally, we generally all predict, Austin on the left, Rosh on the right, Josh on the left, Naj on the right, whatever. Troy completely flipped that because Barry was coming off that right-hand side and putting Austin over there. I mean, Troy's doing little things that are working. And so I think some people may not be picking up on that. Like, we had the opportunity to see Haji in person. We've had an opportunity, in the preseason. We've seen a couple times now during the season. We've seen that pace, and we've seen Troy capable of making adjustments. And coming into the final time we're facing Austin Bold this season, I think we're going to see a few more adjustments. I think we're going to see Salih, if he's back from this knock. I think we see him in there. I think Salih finally gets some minutes. It's unfortunate, that he wasn't able to play last weekend. We were told it is a day-to-day thing, and he should be back this week. So having him in there, having Sergio doing what he's doing, especially while we don't have Moreno, who still has one more match in the World Cup qualifying, I believe tomorrow night. So Sergio will probably Armando will probably back in town on Friday, but he likely won't travel with the club. So there's lots of things to look forward to, a lot of good things that I think we're going to see on Friday night. And I think I'll kick off the predictions this week. I think we go down there. I think we put a 3-0 on them.
Earl?
2-1.
That's pretty modest, Earl. I thought you'd come out swinging there, but yeah, you know what? I'm a sucker, and you have one good game, and I'm going back to it. I'm going 4-0. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually this year, and if we can play offensively the way that we did Saturday, I think it could start to get rolling for us, and we could end up coming alive here. Real quick, looking past Austin a little bit. I know Coach would never look past Austin, but you mentioned this being ours and Austin's last match. So that means we now have finished the 4-game set with Austin, Colorado Springs, and El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is if you break the other 6 teams in our division down into 2 groups, and you look at Austin, El Paso, and Colorado Springs versus RGV, Real Monarchs, and San Antonio, which 2 of those groups is better?
So what was the first group again?
So it's the 3 that we've already finished with. It's El Paso, Colorado Springs, and Austin against RGV, San Antonio, and Real Monarchs.
The first group.
Yeah, from an overall standpoint, I think that first group is better. Yeah, I mean and I hate to lump that in, San Antonio in with Sorry, with Monarchs, but I mean, and RGV's on the downside right now.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's really
Yeah.
hard to, I hate to say that. Because I think RGV is insanely talented. I think San Antonio is too, and so it's hard to say that that's the weaker of the two groups.
I mean, if you look at the standings, it's clearly the weaker.
Yeah.
You have El Paso, who is head and shoulders above everybody else. Then you have Colorado Springs, who is the best offensive team in the league, and has is I mean, they're only a point in second place, but they just feel like they're trending upward and have played a lot better soccer, especially recently. And then Austin's kind of right there in the middle, compared to San Antonio, who's up and down. Has been a little bit more up lately than down. And then RGV, who's, like you said, tail slide. And then Real Monarchs, who's just sitting there at the bottom. So we do have 3 more against RGV and then 2 more against San Antonio and Real Monarchs, including the final home match of the season against Real Monarchs during the season. And so looking at that, I feel like our schedule is set up fairly nice for us. This Austin match is going to go a long way in determining playoff seeding. Then we have Real Monarchs at home on the 18th, which I'm not going to say is an easy win because they beat us once already and we beat them. So, but you just have to like how it sets up, and I'm not going to do like I did earlier and predict a 5-game win streak or anything like that because that blew up in my face rather large. But if we're going to make the playoffs, and I think we still have a decent chance to do that, it's going to come down to the teams that we have ahead of us now, and I would rather be looking at 3 more against RGV in this position instead of 3 more against El Paso.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get no argument from me. And I think as long as we can take care of business within our divisional games, I don't think the Lou City and San Diego matches matter all that much in the grand scheme of things, and Hartford either. But I would like to think we pick up at least 4 points from those 3 matches.
Yeah, and I mean, Louisville's going to be tough. Louisville is just going to be a tough match, no matter what. Even on their worst day, it's going to be tough. San Diego is like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. Like you just kind of never really know what you're going to get there. So I'm not even going to try to assume anything there. And then Hartford started off really good, but they have been just on a complete downhill slide as of late. They went from fighting for first place to now they're out of a playoff picture. So those 3 matches, I think we can get 4, 5, 6 points out of them. But if it's going to come down to those matches against the teams that are right there fighting with us, and if we can go to RGV or go to RGV and come up with 9 points in those 3 matches, it's probably going to put us in the playoffs. Just it's that simple. Just because RGV will falter that much. So, I'm optimistic with the schedule. I had been worried, but I think this stretch of Austin, Phoenix, Colorado, Austin that we just kind of are finishing up now had me more nervous than the rest of it. And I don't think I realized that. I just thought the back half of our schedule was pretty tough. But now looking at it, I'm like, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel there, and we can finish this matchup with Austin, who's got a stout defense at the very least. And then we can kind of hopefully tear apart some teams like RGV and Real Monarchs, and then show some kind of fight against San Antonio in the next 2 matches. And then those other 3 are just whatever points we get out of them are just kind of icing on the cake. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to come away with a W this Friday. I'm excited. I get Tampa Bay on Thursday, and then Mexico United on Friday, and I get to watch them without interruptions. So that will be nice because the family is going to be back in Los Lunas. So get to just sit down and focus on them, and hopefully come away with 2 W's for my teams on Thursday and Friday.
All right. I think that's going to just about do it for us here. Earl, how'd your draft end up?
It ended up pretty decent. So before we get to my draft, I do want to say, for some reason, Seth knows the reason, but we have 10 extra flags. So the first 10 people to either private message the group chat or the group Facebook page or Twitter or whatever, whoever monitors whatever, preferably Facebook because it's easier that way, or myself or Jacob, or if you want to message Seth on Twitter or wherever he hangs out at, the flag is yours.
Reddit
or
Seth's in Reddit.
Yep.
wherever the heck Seth lives in the basements over there, in the cesspools of Reddit. So anyways, the first 10 people to message get the flag.
Time out. Do you have 11 flags then?
Yes. Well, I have
Okay.
12 flags. One for me, one for yours. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Yeah, one for me, one for you, and then 10 extra.
Okay.
Oh, well, we
Just
can
making
add to
sure
that.
that I didn't have to message
We
you.
can add. I'll add 4 more to that.
There you go.
What?
14.
Where? We need to talk off air about this because I'm very confused.
So that's 14 flags, guys. Get in touch with the first 14 people. Get in touch with us through social media. You know, like Earl already gave you all the places. Get in touch with us, and we'll make arrangements to meet you guys either in town or at the next home game, and we'll get you guys some blackout night flags. So,
All right. Nice. Didn't see that coming. Would have been nice to know, but hey, sweet. Are we there?
yeah, we're here.
You guys got okay. I was looking at something and you guys weren't talking, so I was like, oh, I think I'm lost. Cool guys. Real quick, very random, but we'd like to talk about what's going on in our personal lives a little bit here. I got a new wallet, and I freaking love this wallet. And
Is that one of those RFID things?
no,
No.
it's a company called Dash, and they had a Kickstarter campaign for this particular one in my hand, and it's the 3rd version of what they call the Bando, and I like it. It's got this little thing here that when you click it or push it, your cards fan out. Holds like 13 cards, and yeah, I just really like it. So I'm gonna ignore Earl, and I'm just gonna wrap this thing up, guys. Can't believe Earl would pull out his vibrator in the middle of the show, but hey, to each their own. To each their own.
So it's either my vibrator or my penis of a mic. I mean, it's one of the two.
You should put that on your vibrator.
We're getting banned after this.
Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. The chat was a little quiet tonight. We didn't have our typical Harry Jerry combo there, but that's all right. We'll be here next week, Tuesday, 9:30. Probably talking about week 1 of the NFL a little bit, and for sure talking about a W for New Mexico United against Austin on Friday. So be safe out there, guys. Catch us next week, 9:30, right here, or the podcast should be up on Thursdays. I believe it is when you're doing it, when we actually record when we're supposed to. So come back. Like Earl said, the first 14, such a inexclusive number. Like we needed to make it like 2 and just do this every week. But hey,
No, it's actually good. It's actually good. So back before the season started, I did say that Illich was my signing of the offseason, and that's why it's 14.
okay. I'm not gonna say how wrong you were, but
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong.
but good deal. So
I'll admit it.
So, anyways, 14, the first 14 of you to message either me, Earl, Seth, or the Somos Mas Facebook page, we'll get one of those flags. We'll get them to you, either mailed out or personally hand deliver them by Earl or Seth or myself if you're in Fort Sumner, I guess, or Clovis or Roswell. But other than that, guys, be safe. Catch us again next week. And until then, Somos Unidos.
All right, you too. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. Like Jacob said, we'll be back on Tuesday night. Until then, have a great week.